My girlfriend's best friend secretly hated me and spent months poisoning her against me. She framed me for cheating, ruined my final project so I couldn't graduate, and tore our relationship apart. But when I uncovered the truth, everything came crashing down on her. It's crazy how your whole world can fall apart in a matter of weeks. One minute you're standing at the edge of the future you've been working toward your entire life, and the next, you're crawling through the ashes of it, wondering what the hell you did to deserve it. It was supposed to be the best semester of my life, my last one before graduation. I was so close. Just a few months and I could finally walk across that stage, diploma in hand, keeping the promise I made to my mom before she died. I had to graduate. It wasn't just for me, it was for her. And for a while, everything seemed on track. I had a great girlfriend, Lila. We'd been together 2 years, the kind of relationship people envied. We had plans, real ones. Move in together, maybe start looking at graduate schools. I thought I knew what love was because I had it, right there, until Brianna decided it was her turn to ruin everything. Brianna was Lila's best friend, always around, always chirping in her ear. At first I didn't mind, she was just there. Harmless, I thought. Annoying sometimes, sure, but nothing serious. Looking back now, I can see all the signs I missed. How Brianna's laughter would get just a little too loud when I told a joke. How she found excuses to touch my arm. How she'd drop these little comments. If Lila ever lets you go, I'm first in line. Always laughing like it was a joke. But it wasn't a joke. It started small. Little arguments with Lila that didn't make sense. She'd look at me funny when my phone buzzed, even if it was just some group project notification. She started checking who I was texting, asking who I was with if I said I was studying late. I didn't think much of it. Final stress, right? Everyone gets a little crazy. Except then it wasn't just questions, it was accusations. I heard you were flirting with that girl from your econ class, Lila snapped one night, right in the middle of our usual takeout and Netflix routine. What? Who told you that? I asked, stunned. Brianna saw you, she said flatly, arms crossed. I laughed at first because it was so ridiculous. I barely even talked to other girls, let alone flirted. But Lila didn't laugh. Her mouth was set in this hard, bitter line I'd never seen before. I wasn't flirting, Lila, I swear. She didn't respond, just looked away like she couldn't stand to hear my voice. That's when the pit started forming in my stomach, the heavy, aching dread that would grow until it took over everything. Brianna wasn't just lying, she was laying a foundation. Brick by ugly brick, she was building this reality where I was the bad guy. And no matter what I said, no matter how much proof I showed, Lila believed her. Maybe because deep down, trusting a best friend feels easier than trusting a boyfriend, right? Friends are supposed to protect you, not destroy you. The real nightmare started the night before my senior capstone project was due, the one project that would decide whether I graduated. I stayed up all night perfecting it. Every citation triple-checked, every graph carefully formatted, every argument locked in tight. I felt good about it, proud. The next morning, I submitted it online with a sigh of relief so deep it practically rattled my chest. That relief didn't last long. An hour later, I got an email from my professor. You submitted a blank document. As per the syllabus, late work is not accepted. Blank document. My hands started shaking as I opened the submission portal, praying it was some mistake. But there it was. Nothing. Just a blank page where months of blood, sweat, and sleepless nights were supposed to be. I couldn't breathe. My first thought was that maybe the file was corrupted. Maybe I screwed up somehow. I raced back to my laptop, trying to find a backup, but everything was gone, wiped clean, like it had never existed at all. Panic and heartbreak crashed over me at the same time. All I could think about was my mom's face, the way she made me promise I'd graduate before the cancer took her. I couldn't fail her, so I went to the only person I thought would understand. I drove to Lila's apartment, still wearing last night's hoodie, in desperation like a second skin. When she opened the door, her expression wasn't the soft, worried one I expected. It was cold and distant. What's wrong? She asked, but there was no real concern in her voice. I stumbled over my words, tears prickling my eyes. Lila, my project's gone. It's all gone. I don't know how, but it's gone and I'm screwed. I'm not gonna graduate. And then she smiled. Not the smile I loved, not the shy, sweet grin that made my chest ache with affection. This smile was sharp, cruel. Oh, I know, she said. My heart stopped. I deleted it, she added, like she was telling me she'd left the stove on. What? I whispered, my voice breaking apart. You deserved it, Lila said, stepping back, arms folding across her chest. Brianna told me everything. How you've been lying to me. How you don't even care about us anymore. No, that's not true. Lila, you know me. You know me. But she just shook her head. I could see it in her eyes. She didn't know me anymore. Brianna had seen to that. I trusted you, she said, her voice low and hard. I loved you, and you threw it away. I dropped to the floor right there in her hallway, my chest heaving with sobs I couldn't hold in anymore. I begged her to believe me. I swore I never cheated. I told her about the promise to my mom. None of it mattered. In the end, Lila just closed the door, left me on the floor like I was a stranger. I don't remember how long I sat there, broken. It could have been minutes. It could have been hours. The world outside kept moving, cars honking, people laughing, like nothing had happened. Like the most important parts of my life hadn't just been ripped away. That night, lying awake on my dorm bed, staring at the ceiling, I realized something terrifying. You can do everything right. Love someone with every ounce of your being. Work until your body begs you to stop, and still lose everything. Because sometimes all it takes is one poisonous whisper in the right ear to tear it all down. After that night, I thought maybe it would blow over. Maybe once Lila calmed down, once she remembered all the nights we stayed up talking about our future, about everything we wanted, she would see through the lies. I held on to that hope like it was a life raft, clutched it so tight my knuckles ached. But I didn't realize then. Brianna wasn't just trying to hurt me, she was trying to erase me. It started a few days later at a campus cafe. I was sitting at a back table with a classmate, Mia, working on a group presentation for our marketing class. Textbooks spread out between us, coffee cups going cold. Nothing romantic, nothing shady, just stressed out students trying to survive midterms. I remember we were laughing over something stupid. Mia had made some joke about the professor's wild hand gestures, and for half a second, it actually felt normal. Like my whole world wasn't collapsing around me. That's when I saw Brianna, standing near the register, arms folded, staring at us like she'd just caught me committing a crime. Her eyes were cold and calculating, and when I instinctively lifted a hand to wave, because that's what you do when you see someone you used to be friends with. She didn't wave back. She just smiled, this tight, gleeful little smile, and disappeared out the door. I didn't think much of it at the time. I should have. God, I should have. That night, Lila showed up at my place. She didn't even wait for me to say hi before she launched into it. How long have you been hooking up with her? I blinked at her, confused. Hooking up with who? Don't play stupid, Mia. I saw the pictures. Brianna saw you two practically all over each other. Pictures? What the hell was she talking about? I tried to explain, told her Mia was just a project partner, that there was nothing going on, that we barely knew each other outside of class. I begged her to believe me, told her to check my phone, my DMS, anything she wanted. But it didn't matter. Brianna had already poisoned the well. Every word I said tasted like a lie to her. You're a coward, Lila spat, tears filling her eyes. You didn't even have the guts to admit it. I could feel the last threads of us unraveling right there in my tiny dorm room. And the worst part? I could see it happening, could see it slipping through my fingers, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. From that moment on, it just kept getting worse. Brianna started showing up everywhere, always lurking just close enough for Lila to see, always finding ways to twist the knife a little deeper. At parties, she'd corner Lila, whispering God knows what in her ear, and every time she did, Lila would pull away from me a little more. I caught the looks, the glares, the mistrust, the tight, suspicious little smiles. One night at a house party a few streets off campus, it finally exploded. I was standing with some guys from my program, nursing a beer and talking about job applications, when I felt Lila's hand grab my arm and spin me around. You're unbelievable, she hissed, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Flirting with other girls right in front of me? What are you talking about? I asked, stunned. I saw you, laughing with that brunette, acting like I'm not even here. I looked around wildly. The brunette she was talking about was Anna, one of the guy's girlfriends. She'd been showing me a meme on her phone, for God's sake. I tried to explain. Again, but the words stuck in my throat, thick and heavy, because I knew It didn't matter. Brianna had already told her what to see, and now that's all she could see. By the time I got home that night, my phone was blowing up with texts from mutual friends. "What the hell happened with you and Lila? Bro, did you cheat on her? Everyone's talking about it, man." I sat there staring at the screen, feeling like the floor had been ripped out from under me. I wasn't just losing Lila anymore. I was losing everything. The friends we made together, the trust we built, the future we dreamed about. All because Brianna decided she wanted to burn it down. Everywhere I turned, there were whispers, rumors, cold shoulders. I wasn't the boyfriend anymore. I was the villain in some cheap story Brianna had written for me, a story everyone else seemed more than willing to believe. I could have screamed the truth from the rooftops. It wouldn't have mattered, because love, once poisoned by doubt, doesn't just die, it festers. And by the time you notice the smell, it's already too late. There's this point you hit, after enough betrayal, after enough people look you in the eye and call you a liar, where something inside you just snaps. I don't know when exactly it happened for me. Maybe it was that night I sat alone in my car outside Lila's apartment, watching her living room light flicker behind the curtains, knowing I wasn't welcome inside anymore. Maybe it was the 100th text from someone I thought was my friend, asking if it was true I cheated. But something shifted. I wasn't going to just sit there anymore and let Brianna wreck my life. I needed proof, real, undeniable proof. So I started digging. At first, I didn't even know what I was looking for. I went through old text messages, old group chats, and screenshots. Anything Brianna had touched. It was almost laughable how quickly things started clicking into place once I actually looked. Little comments she had made over the past year that didn't seem important at the time. Subtle digs at Lila's confidence. Sneaky jabs about how loyalty was rare nowadays. How some people didn't deserve what they had. I found an old Instagram post where Brianna had commented under one of Lila's selfies. "He's cute. Hope you know what you've got before someone else does." At the time, Lila had just laughed it off. But now, reading it again, it made my skin crawl. And then there were the subtler things. The way Brianna always insisted on third-wheeling our dates, or how she'd joke about Lila needing to keep me on a short leash. Piece by piece, the puzzle started coming together. But it wasn't until I stumbled onto Brianna's old private Twitter that the final nail hit the coffin. I don't even know why I thought to check it. She barely used it anymore. It was linked to her old college email. But scrolling through those tweets felt like watching a car crash in slow motion. Snide remarks about fake friends who think they're better than you. Passive-aggressive jabs about stealing what you deserve. Even one post, months before any of this started, that read, "If you can't have him, ruin him." My stomach twisted so hard I thought I was going to be sick. It wasn't just about me, it was about Lila too. Brianna wasn't trying to protect her friend. She was trying to destroy her, tearing down everything Lila trusted, making her doubt herself, her instincts, her worth. Because Brianna didn't just hate me, she hated Lila for having the life she wanted. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I screenshotted everything. I needed Lila to see it. I needed her to know the truth, even if it was too late to save us. When I finally sat across from her, in the same campus cafe where it all started, I was shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone. She looked different, smaller somehow. Her eyes were rimmed with red, like she hadn't slept in days. I slid the phone across the table, said nothing, just waited. I watched the blood drain from her face as she scrolled, her fingers trembling, her lips parting slightly like she wanted to say something. Anything, but couldn't. When she finally spoke, it was barely a whisper. I didn't know." I just sat there, hollowed out, waiting for the apology that never really came. Instead, Lila told me a story. Back in high school, Brianna had been madly in love with this guy. The golden boy, the soccer captain, the one everyone wanted. But the guy hadn't picked her. He picked Lila. They dated all senior year. Brianna acted like she was fine with it, even threw Lila a surprise birthday party with him. But after they broke up, Brianna confessed that she had hated Lila for it, that she had felt stolen from, that no matter how close they stayed, Brianna never really forgave her. It rotting away under fake smiles and half-hearted hugs until it finally exploded here, years later, right on top of me. "She said she forgave me," Lila whispered, staring down at the table. "I guess she didn't." For a long moment, neither of us spoke, because what was there left to say? We had trusted a snake, And by the time we realized it, we were already poisoned. I wish I could say exposing Brianna made me feel powerful, like some justice-fueled superhero finally setting the record straight. But the truth is, it just made me feel tired. Tired and sad and so empty, because the damage was already done. Still, I knew I had to confront her. Not for revenge, not even to make her sorry. I knew she wasn't capable of that. I needed her to know she didn't win. The next afternoon, I found Brianna exactly where I figured she'd be, lounging on a bench outside the English building, pretending like she didn't have a single care in the world. When she saw me coming, she smiled. That same fake, sugary smile she wore the day she watched my life burn. "Hey, stranger," she said, flipping her hair over her shoulder like she was starring in her own twisted rom-com. I didn't waste time. I dropped the stack of printed screenshots in her lap. Every DM, every tweet, every whisper she thought had vanished into the ether. Her smile faltered. "What's this?" she asked, but there was a tremor under her voice now. "You," I said quietly, "unmasked." For a second, she tried to laugh it off, tried to play innocent, batting her lashes like she didn't have blood on her hands. But when I just stood there, silent, unblinking, something inside her cracked. The mask fell away. "You don't get it," Brianna hissed, low and venomous. "She doesn't deserve you. She never did." I took a step back, the words hitting me like a slap. "You burned down 2 people's lives," I said, voice shaking, "because you couldn't let go of a high school grudge." Brianna's face twisted into something almost feral. "You would have realized it eventually," she said, standing up and tossing the papers at my feet. "She was never good enough for you. I was just speeding things up." I stared at her for a long moment, feeling a kind of grief I didn't even know existed. Not anger, just sorrow. For Lila, for myself. Even somehow for Brianna, a person so twisted by jealousy she couldn't tell love from possession anymore. "You didn't destroy me," I said finally, my voice barely a whisper, and I walked away. When I got to Lila's apartment that night, I didn't expect her to be waiting for me, but she was. Standing in the doorway, pale and exhausted, clutching her hands together like she didn't know what to do with them. "Is it true?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Did she admit it?" I nodded once. The tears started immediately, silent and brutal. She folded in on herself like someone had kicked her ribs in. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I should have believed you. I should have." I stopped her with a look, because the truth was, it didn't matter anymore. We sat together on the floor of her living room, the same place we used to make forts out of pillows and talk about our dreams at 2 a.m. But this time, there were no promises, no plans for tomorrow. Just 2 broken people sitting in the ruins of something beautiful. "I still love you," she said eventually, voice raw. "I love you too," I replied, just as broken. And we both knew it wasn't enough. Some damage goes too deep. Some fractures can't be mended, no matter how much love you pour into them. Trust is fragile. Once it shatters, it doesn't come back whole. It comes back jagged and dangerous. We said goodbye that night without screaming, without begging, without hating each other. Just heavy, aching silence. As Lila closed the door behind me for the last time, I realized something I hadn't wanted to admit until now. Sometimes the worst betrayal isn't from the enemy outside, it's the one you invited inside your heart. If you made it this far, thanks for riding with me. If you love real, messy, emotional stories like this, go ahead and hit subscribe. There's always another confession waiting in the back seat.